friends. On today's Tag Tuesday, I decided, number one, to change my venue a little bit. I felt like I wanted to film in front of my Christmas tree, and I kind of like this. And also, I am going to do the Vlogmas Tag. I was tagged by Sean from Sean the Book Maniac, and he and Britta Bowler developed this original tag for people like moi who are doing Vlogmas this year. Well, actually, it can be for anybody, but it spells out the word Vlogmas, and each question is, for one of the letters in the word Vlogmas. So, without further ado, let's just get right into it. V is for voyage, and that is obviously for a book that involves travel. And for that one, I decided to choose Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. This is one of the few nonfiction books that I have read more than once. I really loved it for some reason. I think because I just have always been fascinated with Indian culture and, Asian cultures. And and she also goes to Italy in this, but she also goes to India and Indonesia, Bali, I believe. And it was just a really interesting, like, travel log. And it's kind of the first uh, nonfiction book uh, when I was an adult that I really enjoyed. And since then, I have read a couple of other Elizabeth Gilbert's books, and I don't enjoy them as much, but for some reason, this one really hit home to me. I don't always agree with Elizabeth Gilbert's philosophy on life and things, but I really just enjoyed the travel aspect of it. She really wrote very vividly about the places and the food that she tried, and it just made me really want to go to all of these places. So, and I actually, this is the whenever the movie version of this came out, which, I mean, it was okay, but uh, I this was the only movie that I've ever gone to by myself because nobody else would go with me. So I sat in the movie theater all by my little lonesome and watched this movie version, and I was a little bit underwhelmed, but but it was still a nice experience. And yeah, I actually might read this again in 2020 because I just really love it that much. L is for LGBTQ, and it is to recommend a favorite book or author. And for this prompt, I have two, one of which I can't find anything that I actually own by him, which is a travesty. But I, but my books are kind of a mess right now because I don't have a bookshelf at the moment. So I probably own something by him, and that is Oscar Wilde. He is my all-time favorite playwright. He wrote The Importance of Being Earnest, which is my all-time favorite play. He also wrote A Woman of No Importance, which I also love, among others. I don't think that I have read a play or seen a play by Oscar Wilde that I haven't loved. So, yeah, he is probably my all-time favorite author in the LGBTQ category. And also in that category is E.M. Forster. And this is the book that I own by him. And actually, I don't know if I can legitimately claim E.M. Forster to be one of my favorite authors, only because I believe that I've only ever read two books by him. So I really want to rectify that because I very rarely ever hear anybody talking about A Passage to India and on BookTube, and it is one of my all-time favorite books. And well, at least it used to be. I actually reread this when I first started BookTube and did a little review of it. I don't know how good the review is because it was one of my first ever, but but yeah, it's kind of hard, it was kind of hard for me to get through the last time I read it, um, but it's still a beautiful story, and it's a really good look at prejudice and kind of it looks at both cultures, both the English who were occupying India at the time, and also Indian prejudice towards the English, and how basically everybody is wrong about everybody else, and a little bit right at the same time too. So I just thought it was very interesting and very beautifully written. There's a scene that is like the pivotal point in this book, in the caves of Mirabar, I believe is the name of it. And you can feel the tension, you can feel the creepiness, and it just is really beautifully done. So I look forward to reading more by E.M. Forster, and yeah, I think that should probably be a project that I can add to my ever-growing list of projects for 2020. O is for oldie but goodie, or oldie but goldie, which I had never heard before, but I kind of like that phrase. And Sean says that both are legitimate, so I like that phrase a little bit better. But anyway, Oldie but Goodie is a book that you read a long time ago that still holds a special place in your heart. And I would say I have a lot of books that would go along with that. Um, Mostly they're series. One of them being the Little House on the Prairie series, um, the what's the Babysitters Club series, and ones that I actually physically have are the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Actually, I read these. I I'm pretty sure I had read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the first in the series, um, as like a teenager at least. But I read them again, the whole series, for I would say the first time, other than that first book, when I was an adult. But I was still in my early 20s. I might have even still been in college. We might have had to read these for my fantasy literature class. But and they just I was just blown away by their imagery, and it was kind of my first introduction to C.S. Lewis, and I just loved his the imagery, like I said, and the message that it sends. And I continually read these books over and over again. And actually, I'm probably due for a reread of the series. And side note, my my best friend Marcia, who has been on my channel before, she has read this entire series for the first time this past year. I'm so proud of her. She reads mostly nonfiction and biographies, so this was a feat for her, and I'm so proud of her that she read these. G is for gift, and I am to share an anecdote about a experience that I've had giving or receiving a book. And for this, I really didn't have a lot to go off of, but I once, when I was still a teenager, I believe, or maybe, in my early 20s, saw at Barnes and Noble a book called The Elegance of the Hedgehog. And I loved the cover. I'll try to remember to put it up here. I loved the cover, and I thought that name was hilarious. And other than that, I really knew nothing else about it. I did know it was about a group of people that live at a hotel, and other than that, knew nothing. But I decided that I wanted this book. So my aunt gave it to me for either Christmas or my birthday. I can't really remember. And I tried reading it, and I hated it. And I could not get into it. It was so over my head and overly philosophical and just kind of depressing in a way. And I just could not wrap my head around it. And then, so I put it down. I figured, well, okay, maybe I'm just too young for this book at this point. So I held on to it for years. And I just recently tried reading it again, and the same thing happened. I just did not like this book. And being older and wiser now and having easier access to the internet, I checked around on some reviews of this book and saw a lot of readers felt the same way as I did. So after years and years and years of keeping this book on my shelf and just not wanting to get rid of it because it was a gift, and thinking, like one day I will make myself read this book. I finally let it go. I'm sorry, Aunt Joe, but I have tried, and I really appreciate the book. I really appreciate the gift, but I probably shouldn't have asked you for it because I did. M is for mass market paperback. Do you like them? Do you hate them? Show us a few. Um, I I don't really have a lot of opinions on mass market paperbacks. I'm fine with them if it's what I can get and it's in good condition, and if I like the cover, I'm fine with a mass market paperback. Now, having said that, I now have seen the quality difference in a trade paperback and just the how it feels differently and all that. So, I mean, obviously, if I had a choice between the two, I would probably pick trade paperback, and then probably hardback. It, I like hardbacks um, for like display purposes. You know what I mean? But I don't have like a bias against mass market paperbacks, really. Um, and I don't really own that many, but I do own the Lord of the Rings series and The Hobbit in trade paperback at this point. And I actually kind of like this trade paperback or this mass market paperback of The Hobbit. And I've kept it in pretty good condition so far, anyway. But I like the design, the picture on the cover. My Lord of the Rings series, at the time I liked it because they were movie covers, and Legolas is on there, which what girl didn't love Legolas when the movies came out, and Aragon and or yeah, Aragon. Is that his name? Why? Why am I blanking on? Anyway, good thing I'm doing a read along of this next year because apparently I need a refresher. But um, but now that I have those ones and they are not as in good condition, I would really like to find a nice trade paperback or hardback set of the Lord of the Rings series. And I mean I really would like The Hobbit to go along with it, but I mean I'm not mad about this paperback. A is for All in the Family. They want Sean and Britta would like to know if I come from a family of readers, and either way, they want to hear about it. And I would say at this point in my life, I am the biggest reader in my family, which is kind of funny because when I was a little girl, I did not read very quickly. I was actually put in like a remedial reading program at school, which was very embarrassing, and I hated every minute of it. I liked to read, but I was very, very slow at it. Um, and my mom would read to me. I don't really remember her ever reading just for fun. I mean, she was pretty busy when I was growing up, and she continues to be pretty busy even as I'm an adult. So, but that was one of my fondest memories of being a kid is at the end of the day sitting down and having her read to me, or me reading to her if she was trying to kind of help me with my reading. We read a lot of the Babysitters Club and Little House on the Prairie together. Um, and yeah, it's just so. I mean, I come from a family who values reading definitely, but I wouldn't. My parents don't really sit down and read. My dad reads the newspaper every night, but they don't really have a whole heck of a lot of time for reading. They don't really make that a priority. But yeah, like I don't have any family members that think that reading is a waste of time. So I think that my mom reading to me when I was a kid really helped me develop a love for reading. So yeah, so I would say that I come from a family of readers, or at least those that appreciate it. And last but not least is S is for Santa. Name a book that is on your Christmas wish list. And I don't really have a Christmas wish list. My family and I don't really do the whole gift giving thing anymore. But if I were to make a wish list, at this point it would probably be anything from the Penguin cloth bound classic editions. And I have started mildly collecting them. I don't want to get out of control, but I have about four of them at this point, three or four. And I would like to continue collecting those. So like if somebody were to buy me one, I would definitely appreciate it. So yeah, at this point, I would think anything that would look pretty on my shelves, or actually, at this point, I need shelves. So I guess I should put that on my Christmas wish list because I don't have any bookshelves right now. But yeah, I would say Penguin Cloth Bound Classics. There you go. That is the Vlogmas tag by Sean and Britta. And I'm not going to specifically tag anybody, but if you are doing Vlogmas and you need Vlogmas content, you are tagged. Because I know at this point in Vlogmas, which at this point it'll be day 10 for me that is it's going up. So I know that it is quite a daunting task to come up with 24 different videos to do. So, yes, consider yourself tagged if you're a Vlogmas participator. And thank you, Sean and Britta. This was fun. I am glad to have the extra Vlogmas content, and I hope you enjoyed my answers. All right, friends, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.